Hi there, welcome to British Accent Academy. My name's Katie and I am your pronunciation teacher. Today we're going to talk about the most common English pronunciation errors made by Mandarin Chinese speakers of English. So speakers who are experiencing some native language interference when they speak in English, and that interference may be causing a loss of clarity and confidence. So let's dive straight in. So typically, speakers of Mandarin Chinese tend to separate each word as they speak. Now, while this can be very advantageous at an early stage in English speaking, once you progress and get closer to a more fluent, native sounding model, you'll notice that native speakers typically will join vowels together using little semi-vowels like a little w if the word ends in a round mouth shape, or a little ya if the word ends in a spread mouth shape. So for example, with how are you, we don't say how are you, we join everything together with a little wa. How are you? How are you? Instead of saying it always is, typically we say it always is. It always is. So if you navigate to the blog post in the description, you'll be able to play this and repeat after the audio. And if you want to work on your connected speech using the materials that we have available at our school, you can click on this link. So the next thing that Mandarin Chinese speakers typically have difficulty with is being unsure about syllable stress. So in the Complete English Pronunciation video course, I break down the various suffixes of British English and we look at stress rules particularly. Across the phrase, we also have an ebook looking at the rules and exceptions of English stress placement. So let's run through a few examples. Credibility, credibility. Comprehension, comprehension. Notice that these words come from Latin and we have penultimate syllable stress. This reading comprehension is difficult. This reading comprehension is difficult. So placing this stress doesn't necessarily come naturally. It's not always intuitive. So this kind of thing is very useful for a Mandarin speaker to work on when learning the pronunciation of British English. So next is a syllable final n alveolar nasal. Window, Monday. Now notice that I am exaggerating. I know it sounds a bit strange, but my recommendation is to practice as much as you can while exaggerating these movements, because the more you exaggerate, the more you're feeding your brain the movement that you need to sound extra clear and confident in your English pronunciation. Window, Monday. Can, or can in fast speech. Neon, mountain, tundra, under. So be careful not to get a nga in there. Make sure you get a n with your tongue touching behind the teeth. So next we have the la, particularly the dark L, meal. For the dark L, you need to touch your tongue tip on the bump behind the teeth, and at the same time, ever so slightly swallow the back of the tongue. But remember to press that tongue tip very firmly into the bump behind the teeth. Meal, meal. You may need to add a helping schwa here. Meal, hill, parallel, meal, hill, parallel. Notice that the L before the vowel here is a clear L. We're not raising the back of our tongue that time. Parallel, parallel. Next, we have consonant clusters. So it can be tricky for Mandarin Chinese speakers to glide straight from one consonant into another. It's very important to make sure that if we have one syllable in one of these phrases, one vowel, that we ensure that it's just one beat when we say it. So, sport, straight, through, cruise, sprout, square. Particularly for through, you may want to dig a bit deeper into the mouth shapes there. We have speech sound animations that guide you through exactly how to produce each sound one by one, looking at the cross section of the mouth. So you can see ooh, and then when we combine it together, through, through. For the TH, put the tongue tip on the edge of the upper teeth. Glide the tongue back inside for the add some tension to it, and then ooh, through, through. Sport, straight, through, cruise, sprout, square. Watch out for those consonant clusters. And again, back to TH. This time we're looking at these little tiny, very, very common words. This, the, they, then. Notice again that I'm touching my tongue tip on the edge of my upper teeth and I'm hissing the air through. For these ones, I'm activating my voice. This, the, they, then. But for these ones, I'm not activating my voice, and yet my tongue tip is still on the edge of my upper teeth. Mouth, broth, north, thread. I thought this through. I thought this through. Although those are theirs and these are mine. Each time touching your tongue tip on the edge of the alveolar ridge. Then 3 moths thwacked into the window. So have a go at that yourself. Each time focusing on touching your tongue on the edge of the upper teeth, squeezing the air through. I thought this through. Good. Although those are theirs and these are mine. Nice. Then 3 moths thwacked into the window. Very good. Next, let's talk about word final consonants. So, even though we use connected speech features like linking and joining and assimilation, it's important to know how to end your words. We see a lot of inflection in English, especially ED endings and S endings. And it's very, very important in order to get a good result in your IELTS exam or another English exam, maybe Cambridge Advanced. It's very, very important for you to be able to end these words appropriately. So, risked, you need to feel that double burst. Risked, risked. Trained. Here you hear a d. Again, we need to hear that d quite strongly. Found. So this one particularly is very, very challenging for Mandarin speakers. The ow, d. Those sequences are very challenging. Make sure for the ah, it's nice and big. For the oo, it's nice and small. This is one vowel, but we have two mouth shapes. And then you have an n and a d. Found. We need to hear that d on the end. So that brings us into talking about ow and o before n. So again, make sure that you've got this ow for the own, and that the n is pronounced with the tongue touching behind the teeth. Noun, noun. And for blown, we start in a more neutral shape. Oh, oh, but we still need that movement. And the N again is with the tongue pressing into that roof of the mouth on the front side. Noun, blown. Noun, blown. So just two more. The open back rounded vowel. This can be quite tricky if you speak Chinese. Let's have a go. The spotty dog trotted up to the shop. So really stretch that jaw open, round those lips. And the back of the tongue is at a high point in the mouth. When you're practicing, you may want to activate your glottis. To get that depth of sound. The spotty dog trotted up to the shop. Wonderful. And finally, we're talking about lax vowels. So sometimes when you see an O or an OU, sometimes we pronounce this with a lazy sound. So not ooh like in you, but almost like that neutral schwa. So practice it with me. Put, could, shook. Really make sure that you're making your face as soft and as lazy as possible. If you want to achieve clear, confident English pronunciation, you can click on one of the links during your time scrolling through this blog post. Make sure to practice along with the audio. I'll link the courses in the description as well so that you can browse all of the materials that are available to you. And there are a lot of resources on this website as well. So just navigate to free phonology resources and begin your training. Happy practicing!